Mother Teresa said this one thing. Uh, when I first heard it, it stopped me in my tracks. She said, the most terrible poverty is a loneliness and the feeling of being unwanted. And when a man is being rejected, he feels very lonely and very unwanted when his penis is being rejected. So for us to realize that as women or as the givers of the erotic massage, to understand how important that kind of touch is for a man, then we can really move forward and give a guy what he needs and get what we need at the same time. It's really significant what a man feels when he's exposed to this kind of touch that he's probably never felt before.
I don't want to underemphasize how important this is for men. It is kind of like the way that we feel when we feel cherished, when we feel romance.
Welcome to Create Love with Carrie Margaret. I'm here to help you find and create the story of you, your authenticity, your love, your life. We live in a shifting culture where men and women don't know how to act, to find authentic self-expression, connection, and love. Let's remove the fear around expressing femininity and masculinity and come to a greater understanding of each other and build connection based on authenticity and attraction and being a team instead of adversaries. There's room for every type of life story and love story. You get to be the hero of your own story. Let me walk with you to create understanding, face fears, deconstruct attraction and passion, heal old wounds and grief, and show up as the person, lover, partner, and friend that you are here to be.
Hi, this is Carrie Margaret with Create Love. And today I have a special treat, Lee Jagger. Lee Jagger, CEO and founder of Rock the Bedroom, has helped thousands of women connect with their guys and have more fun in the bedroom using her signature erotic massage techniques. After going from sex worker to sexpert, Lee has made it her mission to normalize conversations around sexuality and empower women in the bedroom. She has hands-on experience with over 2,000 male clients and now helps women who are struggling with low libido, bedroom boredom, sexual trauma, painful penetration, and their guys' ED. Author of the upcoming book, Rock the Bedroom, Sexual Empowerment for Ladies Who Love Men, Lee is bringing this taboo topic to light and helping women everywhere add more spice to their relationships. And Lee, you have really rocked my world.
I'm so happy to hear that.
I had to have you on because you have a similar vision that I do to really empower people in their love lives and in their own personal lives. And I truly believe if you're going to love a man and have him feel loved, you get to love his penis or his pickle, like you call it in TikTok videos, and respect his work and mission in the world. So I am so excited to share this information with women and men. A lot of men will understand themselves even more after listening to this interview, which is something that I found after starting to tell men about your work. So let's dive right in. And for our listeners, tell them a bit about what erotic massage is.
So it's this thing where people think when I say erotic massage, they're like, well, you talking about like a hand job, like, up and down. That's typically what ladies or even guys, everyone thinks of when they hear that I teach what I teach. And it's not really the typical hand job, that fast and furious trying to get it done. It's got it's got an agenda attached to it where, oh, I'm just doing this in order to get him erect so then we can have real sex. That's not erotic massage in my world anyway, at all. Erotic massage is more like this slow Sunday drive along the curves of his body and cherishing his body and pampering him, making him feel like a king, touching him with respect and adoration, and basically touching him with the same amount of care that we as women would like to be touched. So erotic massage is the slow, delicious journey of exploring and appreciating your guy. And it in no way resembles the plain old up and down hand job that most people think.
I would love to talk to you about what men experience when women touch their bodies with that kind of adoration and love. In terms of a framing of this piece, you know, I've noticed in studying sexuality that a lot of women might not realize because they weren't born in a male body and they might have their own experiences of sexual discovery or sexual trauma or all the shame related to sexuality. And a lot of little boys, they grow up, they start to touch their penis, it feels good, and they're shamed for it. And so there's this thing of feeling shamed about touching their penis. And then it kind of goes into these back channels of looking to things like porn, where there's the fantasy of the woman that really wants him and desires him within that. And then using porn. And like you said, this kind of fast motion of kind of going through the motions and then getting off. And a lot of men actually experience shame related to that, related to porn use. So, there's this shame weaving from childhood of like, oh, no, you can't touch down there. And then it going into the closets with porn where men have this huge fantasy of a woman really desiring to touch his penis. And then that building in other layers of shame on top of it.
Yeah.
So what I love about your work is how gentle and kind it is and how you can shift that frame. So tell women again, how do men experience their touch in that way when it comes from a place of love and adoration?
Everything you said is so brilliant because yes, you're right. There's so much shame attached to porn or touching your own body or that anything sexuality related is just drowning in shame and taboo and guilt and all that. But when a man experienced being touched by a woman in this way, he often feels things he's never felt by his hands or by another person's hands, which is an intense respect for his body and a woman basking. A few men have felt the experience of having a woman bask in pleasuring him. I mean, in the moment there's hot and heavy but there's a hungry taking in that too. Like we're in this together and we are both hot and heavy and we're getting our needs met and I'm going to devour you kind of thing for my own pleasure and to turn me on. But with the erotic massage, it's like you said, a giving. And for a woman to, like, I encourage women in my programs to say, hey, honey, you just lay back and let me shower bliss all over you with my hands. You don't have to do a thing. You don't have to reciprocate. I mean, he can if he wants, but for a man to be completely let off the hook to perform in any way, and men have a lot of performance conditioning. If they're not performing, they don't even know what to do if they are not performing because it's expected of them. And so for a man to be completely let off the hook with this very slow, basking touch, it just sends him to the moon. Like he feels like a king. He feels like a man. He feels cherished and adored. and admired and appreciated on a level that most men on this planet have never ever felt. Yeah, it's really quite unique and special, and a little bit jarring for guys. For a woman to say to a guy, "You don't have to do anything. You just lay there. I got you. I'm gonna take you to the rings of Saturn and back, and you just lay there and take it." Guys have heard that, and so no wonder they're going to porn to live out this little fantasy of this woman being so into it and, like he could do whatever he wants to her and she's just going to go along with it. There's validity to that. Like, guys are being deprived in a lot of cases, not all. There's a lot of loving relationships out there, but in many cases, men are being deprived of this reality or fantasy of being so desired, so loved. And there's a disconnect where, he wants to do one thing, she wants to do something else. She's not really into sex sometimes because all they know is penetration. They don't know any other options. And maybe she's going through hormone changes and she's dry down there or whatever. She's not into it. And so she denies him. And all he knows is he's being rejected. He doesn't realize, oh, she's just dry down there and sex is painful. He doesn't read that. He reads, ooh, she's rejecting my penis. She's rejecting me. And that is a really tough place to be in. Mother Teresa said this one thing. When I first heard it, it stopped me in my tracks. She said, the most terrible poverty is a loneliness and the feeling of being unwanted. And when a man is being rejected, he feels very lonely and very unwanted when his penis is being rejected. So for us to realize that as women or as the givers of the erotic massage, to understand how important that kind of touch is for a man, then we can really move forward and give a guy what he needs and get what we need at the same time. So I kind of I kind of spilled a whole bunch of beans on you there, but it's really significant what a man feels when he's exposed to this kind of touch that he's probably never felt before. It's powerful.
That is very powerful. And that share was really powerful. I have to tell you, I came into your world about a year ago and I cried when I first realized there was a convergence of events of finding your work and other information in eroticism. And I cried when I realized how significant erotic touch is in terms of a man feeling loved. And while I hold total compassion for myself and for my past, I was in a long-term marriage and, in those time periods, like right after children, and there are just periods where, we didn't have the language, and the ability to talk through those things. And I don't share, I've realized that I've decided to share pieces of my past to help the audience. And I don't really overshare very much in that space. I tend to partner with men that are very introverted and private. Anyways, this piece is, it's such a common piece that so many people pass through is this is like after children period and where there are dips. And I actually thought back on that and how much I love the father of my children. And I cried. I cried that for those experiences, those sort of lost opportunities of him feeling the depth of my love for him. And it was such a great learning experience moving forward in terms of what it actually means for a man and how loved he feels and how that rejection really does feel like that you don't want to love him. And in another podcast, I'm going to go into a little bit deeper into the language of like, right now isn't the most optimum time and sex. So people have those tools as well. And I don't want to underemphasize how important this is for men. It is kind of like the way that we feel when we feel cherished, when we feel romance, when we feel like we are the one and only for a man emotionally. That is a similar feeling when you are in the container of a long-term committed relationship and you are the source of eroticism for your man. It's really huge for him. And I love that you bring these tools to women so that their men can feel so loved. So with that, I wanted to ask you, like in your own journey, what made you decide to be a love coach for women?
Yeah. Thank you for asking. I love telling this story. So many years back, I remember laying down, belly down on my bed. And I was a single mom at the time. And my son was, I don't know, 10 or something at the time. And I was counting out the coins in the bottom of my purse and a few bills. And all the money from my purse added up to $28.23. And that was more than what was in my bank account. And as I was scooping up the change from my bedspread, my phone rang. And it was a woman who saw my Craigslist ad that I had placed looking for work. And she said, "Hey, do you want to do erotic massage? You can make a ton of cash doing these happy endings." Like, yes, erotic massage. Like, I did not know that would be the call I'd be answering when I picked up. And giving happy endings to men, to strange guys. Here I am with my mouth hanging open and like, me? Like, okay, give you a little backstory here. Tell you a little something about my sex life up until this point in time. I wasn't exactly what you would call a tigress. I was not a sex expert like I am now. I had a pretty low libido and I was starting menopause. So sex was getting uncomfortable, dryness and whatnot down there. And half the time, my boyfriend couldn't get it up. Our sex life was struggling. Um, and you know, when a guy he like takes your hand and pulls it towards his penis, silently like, asking you to tickle his pickle, um, I'd be like, oh, oh God, I just hope he gets hard fast so that he could just stick it in already because I don't know what to do with my hands. So me doing erotic massage as a job was ridiculous. I was not qualified at all. And I certainly didn't want to do that kind of work. But here I am looking down at the change on my bed. I needed the money. So I figured I'd just do it for a couple weeks just to get ahead. So I took the job. And on the first day, I was determined to be that tigress and pretend being the operative word, pretend to be all confident and so that the guys would give me a big tip. And you ever watch the show Seinfeld? And you know the character Elaine and her crazy like dance moves, you know? And she thinks she's busting out some funky moves, but she's just looking awkward. That was me. Except I was not oblivious to my awkwardness like Elaine was. I was feeling it, especially in the happy ending part. I was just fumbling my way through. I didn't really know what to do. There was no warm-up training on a cucumber. No, I was just thrown right in, naked man on a table. And at one point during the happy ending, the guy pushes my hand away and finishes himself off. And I just stood there silently, awkwardly, trying not to fidget, not sure where to look, not sure where to put my oily hands. God, I hated feeling that incompetent. And in sexy situations, I'm used to the guy taking the lead and just me going along with whatever he wanted to do. I had no creativity in the bedroom. I didn't know how to rock a guy's world other than opening up my legs and just letting him go at it. What it came down to was I had no game. I had no power in the bedroom. And I could have booked it out of that office with my tail between my legs and never go back. Seriously considered that. But then I thought, Lee, it's time to put on your big girl panties. And dang it, I wanted to be great in bed. I wanted to know how to touch a guy confidently. And I knew in my bones that this job was my opportunity, my practice ground to step into my power. So instead of running back to my comfort zone, I leaned in and I did that work, not for 2 weeks like I had planned, but for years. And I accumulated, like you mentioned before, over 2,000 clients doing that work. And you do anything 2,000 times, you're going to get good at it. You're going to work out some kinks. And by practicing on all those guys, I discovered, over 69 different ways to touch a guy's privates to bring him to his knees. And when I had a client with ED, I figured out exactly how to knock his socks off. I felt like Beyonce strutting onto her stage and owning it. And that was addicting. Like I'd never felt that before in the bedroom. And a surprising side effect was that sexy time with my boyfriend at the time immediately turned around. Like all of a sudden I was a wildcat, always in the mood. The first time I gave him an erotic massage, he was like, "What you doing for the next 50 years?" He was looking at me with heart emojis in his eyes, like I was the best thing since pizza and beer. And his ED, no longer a problem. I rocked his freaking world, whether he was hard or not. And hell, I rocked my world. Most importantly, I had the best sex of my life without intercourse. Who knew that was even possible? I didn't. And we were playful and we were giddy again and we were connecting more. It was like when we first met. And at some point, my girlfriends noticed the sparks starting to fly between me and my boyfriend again. And we're like, "Lee, what you guys doing?" And they wanted me to give them tips for their boring sexless marriages. And I kid you not, some marriages were saved because of the tips that I shared. So helping my friends have a happier relationship or getting guys off in my office, this helping my friends was way more gratifying. So after honing my skills on over 2,000 penises, that's it. I stopped working with men and I've been teaching women everything that I've learned ever since. That's kind of how it came to be. And I love teaching women. I love empowering women. This isn't just about what the guys get out of it. Yes, the guys get to feel this amazing experience, but it's really who I became in that whole experience, totally empowered, owning it, going out on dates. I'm no longer with that guy. I'd go out on dates totally confident. I'd never felt this level of confidence before. And I loved teaching women how to get there too. Yeah.
I love that so much. And you teach not only women who are in sexless marriages or want to spice up their marriages, you teach single women as well. And
Yeah.
I'd like to get into that a little bit. So I came into your world as a single woman. And, as a sex positive single woman, anywhere that we are on the spectrum of our sexuality, it is all good and it should all be accepted. And in my space in the spectrum is I'm this really gentle soul. I really prefer monogamy and mutual exploration and this kind of rapid, casual dating environment that is prevalent throughout the United States, in particular in Southern California where I live, isn't something that completely just jives with like my essence and the way that I operate in the world. And so through my journey post-marriage, dating has been like this scary thing of like people wanting to move too fast for what feels right for my nervous system and like not knowing how to navigate all of these things while part of that is just boundaries and conversation. Also, part of it is like being in the playful joy and discovery and opening up the dialogue of what sexual connection is. So, as somebody who's in that spectrum of like gentle soul and looking for a particular type of experience, sex, the way that people traditionally define it in terms of like penis and vagina experience, is incredibly special for me. I'm very comfortable with it being something very special and unique within a connection. And having that tool to be able to navigate everything and really broaden this thing of sex play has allowed me to have another way to like get to know somebody over a period of time and feeling incredibly confident in that. And so having this playground of being able to broaden the discussion of what sex play is and feeling incredibly confident in that, pull myself completely out of this like ridiculous like 3-date rule and all of these normative things of people jumping into bed together, and just be able to let sexuality be a playful experience, everything from like, the initial touch to a kiss to more erotic play. So this has been a huge game changer for me as a woman moving out into the world. What else do you find in terms of single women and how they can benefit for them? I really want to share it with single women. So a woman like me who has that perspective can have this as another tool and another way to connect. And what are the other things that you're finding in terms of women who aren't with their one and only forever, or this long-term committed relationship or marriage, or all of that?
Yeah. And thank you for sharing that bit of your experience. I appreciate that. It's been so wonderful to watch your journey in all of this. And it's different for everybody, of course, because everyone's, somewhere along that spectrum of what's going on in their brain, in their heart around sex. It's a different journey for everyone. But I find that every single woman who is going through my program, the number one thing that I hear everybody say, which just lights me up, is that the first thing that happens is their confidence goes through the roof. And don't we need more confident, empowered women out there, right? And when you're meeting with a guy for the first time and you like him, something about him drew you, and you're going out on a date, it's weighted, it's loaded with expectation, with hope. You want it to work with this guy, and you're excited about the possibility of what could be. And so it's a weighted experience. And so to have all this confidence and sure-footedness of walking into a date, and instead of thinking, God, I hope he likes me, I hope he's interested in me, is he going to call me back? All of this wondering and worrying and doubting and all that. Instead of that, being able to walk into that experience relaxed, knowing that you, the woman, is going to be the best thing that this guy could ever hope to find. Like, whether you are or not, it doesn't matter. You feel that. You feel like he just won the jackpot by getting a date with you, and that you have the option to choose any man that you want because you know what you bring to a relationship. You know that you're going to rock this guy's world in and out of the bedroom. And so when you have this confidence and this self-esteem at an all-time high level, you show up as a different person. And like how you said, like when you're in bed with someone and you're being intimate with someone, that playfulness, that free feeling, like the relaxed, well, you can take that into a date. That okay, maybe we don't jive. Maybe I don't want to put my magic hands all over your body later tonight. Maybe not. maybe, like maybe you don't live up to my expectations. I'm good because the next guy I date, it's going to be his lucky day. Like you're not so attached to the outcome because you can get any guy you want. And that is a place of power and empowerment. And so single ladies, eat my stuff up because whether you're actively dating or not, it's like, that's why we buy really nice lingerie. The guy may not see it, but we know we're wearing it. And we feel a little bit sexier when we are because we know what's underneath here. And ooh, wouldn't you be lucky if you got to see what's under, like that kind of, you just feel awesome in your own skin. And when you show up to any experience, whether you're asking your boss for a raise, whether you're asking someone out on a date, or whether you're on that date with a guy, like it doesn't matter. In life, once you've got this level of self-confidence and this skill set, you just take that everywhere you go. And single ladies, that's especially beneficial because we don't have that security of having the one and only, like we're trying to find that security. We're trying to find that soulmate. We don't have that yet. So we are us single ladies are the ones who need that confidence the most, I think.
It is magic. It really is. And the thing is they're really not going to find that experience very commonly. I mean, I think that we would both want this to become a new norm. I would love that is a normative kind of experience, that eroticism is magic. And unfortunately, at this point in time, it's not the norm. And the most magical things unfold where, like giving can feel like receiving and receiving feels like giving. And then all of a sudden you're just like in this magical space of erotic energy that you're just really blessed to even feel in this lifetime, I think, to have those types of experiences.
I love what you just said, when giving feels like receiving, because I get asked all the time from women not in my program who say, oh, okay, so you teach erotic massage for a woman to do on a guy. What does a woman get out of that? Like what's in it for her? That sounds very one-sided. I get that all the time. But women in my program would never say that because they get, like, with this specific skill set, they understand how much giving can be so rewarding, like intrinsically rewarding and extrinsically. Like like my Paulina, one of my clients, she the next day after she started doing her very first, trial practice run on her guy, he went out and bought her the new purple iPhone. 'Cause purple is her favorite color. Got her the new purple iPhone, the fancy car charger that wraps around it. I don't know, some kind of fancy charger for it. Got her a brand new computer. She didn't ask for any of these things. He just wanted to give and give and give, and another client, they're like, yeah, my husband made me dinner and did the dishes. He doesn't ever do any of those things. The day after he got his first erotic massage. Like, so intrinsically, yes, it's very rewarding. We get a lot out of it, but extrinsically, yeah, the guy wants to reciprocate in lots of different ways. So women get other than the obvious confidence and self-esteem boost, we get so much more out of it too. Yeah. So giving can definitely be receiving on many levels.
Let's just circle back around to the intro where I explained how so many of your clients are women who have partners that have experienced ED or, various different, like painful penetration, various different things related to sexuality. And, it's my opinion that none of these things are anomalies or shameful. It's just, in the current of sexuality and sensuality, there are going to be sort of like these ups and downs. I don't know how much you've gotten into Jaya's work. She has the different stages of eroticism, I think she calls it, or sexuality. And two of the stages have to do with rest and healing modes. And in rest and healing, or when life brings a lot of different storms, this can happen on both sides. It can happen with a man's really stressful job. It can happen with a woman's really stressful job or situation as well. So we're riding these waves in life. And I like to talk to you a bit about the women that come to you that are experiencing these waves in terms of whether it's them or their partner,
Yeah.
painful intercourse, dryness, low libido, ED.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit
I'd
about
love
that.
to address this because for a lot of women, this is a very real issue. And if you're in any kind of long-term relationship, you're going to have different currents or storms, as you say, come up. It's just inevitable and normal and natural. And it's very stressful and traumatic for a lot of couples to go through those little storms, especially if it's biological. And it seems like it's something that's being done to you that you don't have any control over. And other than taking like medication or surgery or whatever to try to make him have a hard penis or try to combat her hormones going crazy during menopause. So they're trying a lot of things and those things aren't working, or the medication is altering your guy's personality in not a good way. And we're trying to fix the problems, fix the ED, fix the vaginal dryness. Whereas if we just like, this is normal. This is what happens when you get older. Biological alterations just happen. And it may not even be a stressful job. He could have ED due to diabetes or surgery or stress. A lot of different factors come into it, some of which you can deal with, some of which you can't. And so instead of trying to fix those issues, why don't we work with those issues and not make our partner feel broken because, she's got a dry vagina or he's got a limp penis? Like, celebrate it. There are, like, I say all the time, I've got over 69 ways to touch a man's private. Well, dozens and dozens, almost all of those you can do on a flaccid penis. So his penis doesn't have to be hard for you to enjoy it, for him to enjoy it. You don't have to have a totally lubricated vagina in order to connect with your guy. That's not required at all. Intercourse is one of so many things. Like, imagine if before you, there's a huge buffet of all kinds of food. Like, there's spaghetti, there's wonton soup, there's guacamole, there's hot fudge sundaes.
I have to interrupt you for a second because you are bringing out some of the names of the massage techniques.
True. Yes. I name all the techniques.
Because you had made them after foods. How delicious is that? Okay.
Yeah, it's so fun.
Continue
and it helps
this.
remember
Fun.
them. Yeah. So imagine
I love guacamole.
Guacamole. Yeah. There's onion rings. There's chicken tortilla soup. There's pancakes. There's like a whole bunch of food. If you were to take away spaghetti gets taken off that table and you're left with dozens and dozens of other things to eat. Are you really going to miss the spaghetti? Probably not. So if intercourse has become painful or impossible due to biological changes in the body, then okay, there's a million other things to do. You just taken away spaghetti. That's all you've done. There's all these other things that you can do. But most people are not aware of all these other things. And yes, there's oral sex, but there's some people not into giving or sometimes receiving oral sex. So that's why this is so fun to introduce ladies to all these things you can do with your hands, because she doesn't have to perform oral sex if she doesn't want to. And also, you can make your hands feel better than a kitty to your guy.
You can make your hands feel like a tongue.
Like Tina
Yeah.
in the membership. She was saying that, I don't know if you were on that call or not, but her guy, Alex, said after the first time she was doing guacamole actually. And he said, oh my God, yeah. Afterwards, because he had a towel over his eyes. And afterwards he said, yeah, I loved what you did with your tongue. And she never used her tongue. She only used her fingers and her hands. And she said that to him, and he was just blown away. He's like, no, 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 no. The time you used your tongue. And she's like, no, I did not use my tongue. He was convinced. So yeah, there's so many more things you could do with your hands than you could do with your vagina. And even guys have said, yeah, I thought that, intercourse was the pinnacle. That's where all roads lead for a guy. That's the holy grail. And then I experienced erotic massage. Intercourse is not the holy grail after all. Because she could do things with her hands that her kitty cannot. I got that quote from a guy. Yeah. So you're not broken if you've got ED or if you've got vaginal dryness. That doesn't even have to be a spoke in your wheels of your sex life. It doesn't. It really doesn't. And women just don't know the options that are available to them, but there are so many that are.
Yeah, there are so many options. And I just have a few more questions for you. I want to be conscious of our time here together today. And I do want to say, related to this in terms of it being the holy grail, is that, even like within my experience as well, it's not just like the bliss and the turn on and the ecstasy of the experience. My first experience with erotic massage, the man receiving it cried. Was going through a challenging moment where he was taking care of his mother, who was going through chemotherapy and just had these huge burdens that he was carrying. And I was reaching out to him as a loving person. I'm like, oh, I'm sending you lots of support, or whatever it is, in the moment that I was texting. And he was like, oh, what I really need right now is like a hug. I really need touch. And then that erotic massage, like, he cried. He said it was the most loving, touching sexual experience he had ever had in his life. And that he went from feeling all of the stress and the grief and caring for somebody who's, even though she had been doing well in her treatment, he was carrying sort of that grief and that caregiving and all of that, and went from that moment to like feeling like, is like, Carrie, I feel like I could go and climb a mountain right now. I have so much energy. And so really being able to hold a man in the level of intimacy and love and support and respect when he's going through challenges, because men receive so much of that love and affection physically. So I just wanted to throw that in there. And
Yeah. You know what you did, Carrie? So he's got all the weight of the responsibility of caring for this woman. And he's probably feeling very grateful to be able to be in that position to care for her, but it's still a huge weight. And men are so conditioned to be the providers, to be the protectors, to be, to be the solid rock for people. So for you to be the solid rock for him to be able to take that hat off and go, no, okay, instead of giving, I'm just going to receive. And you made it so safe for him to do that. And so many men don't ever get that chance to just receive without the expectation of reciprocation. That's why that is so important in my program. Don't expect your guy to reciprocate. He will probably want to, and he probably will, but he doesn't need to. So you just gave him such a gift. And that's why he cried, because he didn't have to be the giver. He could just be taken care of. So special.
really special. So we had timed a certain amount of time together today. Are you okay if we go over a little bit today?
Yes.
Okay.
This
Okay.
is a
Great.
conversation. I don't want it
I
to
just want to
end.
make sure. Okay. You said before you don't like the word foreplay. Why is that?
Yes. The foreplay, it feels like it's the lead up to something better. It's the first band warming you up for the main event. and yet, so foreplay is all the touching and the kissing and the exploration of a person's body. Foreplay is usually the lead up to the real thing, I'm saying in air quotes, to intercourse. There's foreplay and there's intercourse. And it seems like intercourse, we've been conditioned to believe that intercourse is the main event. That's where all the roads lead to. We're doing the foreplay so that we can have intercourse, that she's lubed up enough, that he's erect enough to have intercourse. So it seems like this is just a means to an end. And erotic massage is all about foreplay. It's the touch. It's not intercourse at all. And it is the main event. This is foreplay napalm. Like, it's so good that a lot of guys, I've actually heard men, I mean, it wouldn't be surprising to hear women say this, but especially men say, actually, can we not have sex? Can we just keep doing this erotic massage thing? Like, guys have turned down intercourse in order to keep doing the massage because it feels so good. So I don't like the word foreplay because it just has this connotation of this is just what we do to get to the really good stuff. Whereas this stuff that we're doing right now, the foreplay activities, that is the good stuff. That is the main event.
I love that, correcting that misconception and a misconception that some women have about the penis.
Oh my gosh. There's a few, which is understandable. We don't have a penis, so there's so many things about it that we don't know. One is, even if he's got a flaccid penis, he can still have an orgasm. Some men don't even know that, believe it or not. And when women see a flaccid penis, it's sort of like, okay, there's no sex tonight. Like, or they're like, oh, what's wrong with me that he can't get it up? And there's a whole mental gymnastics that goes on when a flaccid penis enters the situation, and it won't get hard. We just assume that sex is over, and it's not. There's dozens of things you can do with it. And he can still have an orgasm. What happens a lot of times is women are experiencing flaccid penis and they don't do anything with it. They don't know what to do with it. We've never been taught what to do with a flaccid penis. And so the guy feels super neglected and, oh, okay, well, maybe you do me, but then you get nothing kind of thing. So that's a big misconception, that there's nothing to be done with a flaccid penis. Or another thing, so if he's got a hard penis, then a lot of women think that all he really needs as far as warming him up is the plain old up and down. And to let your female audience know, that's not your guy's favorite thing anyway. Like, it's not really that great for a guy for you to do the up and down fast and furious to make him, as hard as he could be so he can penetrate you. Like, that is not your guy's favorite thing to do. And you would think it is, because you see guys masturbating doing that, but it's only because they don't know the other things that they can do. And the things that I teach, the erotic massage, he can't physically do for himself. Unless he had arms growing out of his kneecaps, he can't physically get to himself from the angles that you can. So he doesn't know all the different things available to him. So he's not even going to tell you, hey, I'd like you to do this, because he doesn't know what to ask for. He doesn't know what he doesn't know. So don't expect a man to know 69 different things to do on himself. He doesn't. You're going to know more about his privates than he will, which is also a very empowering position to be in.
So tell us how somebody can learn more about these 69 different techniques of how to do erotic massage.
Well, for people who just want to dip their toe in, because a lot of women, they assume that if they watch any of my trainings, it's going to feel like porn. and maybe you can give your opinion on how it feels for you to watch it. But if they just want to dip their toes in, I would recommend going to rockthebedroom.com. There's free training on that page, and it's one free technique. It's called powdered sugar, and it will drive him wild. But for women who want to know like all the techniques and like get the whole enchilada, they can check out my membership, which is a monthly membership at rockthebedroom.com/membership. And actually, for your listeners, if they want to get 10% off their first month, they just enter in the coupon code CARRY10, like 10, and they can try it out. And you can cancel at any time. So it's a good way to check it out and realize, oh my gosh, there's all these things we can do. Holy cow. Yeah, it usually surprises women. They're like, "Oh, I had no idea. I just had no idea all these things."
Thank you so much for your generosity with that. And I have to tell you, your free gift, powdered sugar. Whoa. Like even just a free gift. First of all, let me talk about powdered sugar, then I'll get to the question about how it feels to watch it. But, my first experience with powdered sugar, it just like, he went wild. He was like, I've never been touched like that before. And it's this very simple touch. And it's actually a very gentle touch. It's the kind of touch that like me as the gentle, sensitive person I am, I love this really soft touch. And it's this super soft touch and wild. Like it went wild. And in terms of watching and entering into your world, it feels very safe and, instructional and kind and empowering. It isn't intimidating. I could see how someone would be like, oh, this, feels a little bit intimidating, or it might be like porn, and that might be a little bit scary for some people. Some people enjoy porn, some people don't. And it feels just really kind, compassionate, instructive, and it's really broken down into chunks and everything. And then also your community is really empowering as well. So yeah,
Yes. I love the ladies in our program. It's so good.
Mhm.
I initially never wanted to do group coaching.
Mhm.
It was suggested to me, and I'm like, no, there's no way women are going to want to talk about stuff that we don't want to air our dirty laundry out, especially when it's about sexuality. It's still so taboo. And I thought there's no way that a group coaching program would work. It would be crickets. Nobody would want to say anything. But it turns out to be the best part, I think, because women like to feel that they're not alone in their suffering. They're not alone in their issues, their problems. Like, oh, so I'm not the only one that's not crazy about sex, but I still want to connect with my guy. Like that doesn't even, I don't even know where to go with that. But there's a dozen other women who are in the same boat. That is so relieving to a lot of women. And the support and the encouragement and the inspiration, listening to someone try something out and it really worked, and fireworks are flying out their bedroom window because of it. And it just inspires other women to take action and to try certain things. And it's so great. I love our group so much. It's best part of my week doing those coaching calls.
It's so great. The community is so great. And then there's this whole experience. Like I share with my own experience, as somebody who holds intercourse sex as something that's very special. And I love that part of me. I don't want to change that part of me. I don't, as much as I want to explore all boundaries of sexuality and sensuality, I don't want to change that part. And so no, there's this whole palette there. For me, there's the palette for, the woman who's experiencing something where sex might be painful, or, that biologically something has changed in her life, or for the woman that's going through a period of time where that is not a compelling thing, that like in and out is not, they're just like, there's so many different women that it just gives this new, sort of palette to work with. And then for the women who love sex and just want to be a great lover and like I said in the intro, I really believe for a man to feel loved, it's in Tantra, they teach you this as well, that like love comes into a man through his penis up into his heart. And so it is a part of loving a man. And with that, I want to, and I do want to put a caveat on that part too, because there will be some people, and I think that are listening to this and listen to the whole conversation and maybe still feel a little bit of pressure in terms of their sexuality and modern dating and everything. And I always want to put the caveat that in order for things to feel good for everybody, they have to feel good for you. Though
Yes.
wherever you are, in the spectrum of things, having the level of connection that you're moving towards feel good to you. I want to ask you related to, I ask everybody on the podcast, what is their definition of great love?
Great love. Oh, you mean receiving or giving?
Well, however it lands for you, great
Okay.
love and
All right. I
experiencing
love
it.
this.
Yeah.
That's such a good question. And I'm glad that you didn't ask me before this this episode so I could really give you an honest answer. Um, for me, great love is a little bit of what you just said, like really finding that authentic place in yourself, what you feel comfortable with, and finding your most honest self and being unapologetically you, the honest part of you, and then giving that part to someone else. And also acknowledging past all the superficial stuff that people, we guard ourselves with all the superficial armor, I guess. Seeing past all that and recognizing that pure, beautiful part in another person. And then you both coming together and experiencing whatever your sex or not sex from that place of I'm honoring me 100%, I'm honoring you 100% and who we are, and then experiencing whatever you want to experience. That is great, great love, in my opinion. Raw, real. Yeah.
Mm-mm. I love that answer, raw and real like you. I just want to acknowledge you for the beautiful work that you're doing out in the world, for the bravery of bringing this out into like front lines and moving it forward and doing it in a space. We both know there's so people there with so much shame and guilt and secrecy and all this stuff related to sexuality. And you're such an empowered person to be around. And it's kind of like a lot of that stuff just kind of falls away and everything feels okay around you. So I want to acknowledge you for your energy and all of the work that you've done to show up in the world the way that you do. And thank you so much for being here today. And I would just like to leave our listeners with again, like, how can people get into your world and follow you so that they know?
Well, I'm on kind of all the social media, like Instagram, I'm Rock the Bedroom. Facebook, I'm Rock the Bedroom. YouTube, I'm Rock the Bedroom. TikTok, I'm Rock the Bedroom with the number one after it because I lost my first Rock the Bedroom account because they don't like me talking about anything related to sex. So, so I lost that
Well,
account.
that's kind of hard.
Oh yeah, it's just so taboo and TikTok is owned by Chinese. So it's very, yeah, very taboo. And so on TikTok, I'm Rock the Bedroom 1. However, all of my posts are the same across all the social media. So if you're an Instagram person, you're not missing anything by not watching me on TikTok.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We'll have all the social media handles and all the information and that wonderful gift below in the show notes, so people can follow you and get into your world as well. Thank you so much, Lee. Such a pleasure. And thank you all, our listeners of Create Love, for coming and having the bravery to create a love and life that lights you up. Sending you all love.
Thank you so much for having me.